That was so ominous. I'm glad I picked that. Anyway, welcome to From East to West, Amazon AMA, where Brett Bohannon and Michael Marr talk about all things Amazon. Welcome, Brett. How are you?
Thanks, Michael. I'm doing good. How about
How
yourself?
dare you talk to me like that?
I'm doing great, man. Can't complain.
So, lots going on right now in the Amazon sphere. I think there's probably always lots. And I just want to say, I don't like, I'm just going to complain for a second. I don't like when people say Amazon changes every day. That's not true. Amazon doesn't change every day. There's a lot of new things, and Amazon does like to throw a wrench into your plans. But I'd say probably a couple times a year, there are some big changes. Definitely every quarter, there are probably some things, but it doesn't change every single day. And I think that's a misnomer. What could change is your position. What could change is your rank. What could change is your visibility. So, yes, that is just the nature of a marketplace that you don't have control over and a search engine that has an algorithm that gets to determine where you show up. So, I think
Yeah.
that's what maybe people are talking about. But let's be specific, people. Let's talk about what really is happening and not just say everything's always changing. I may have even said that before and said, yeah, everything's changing, and then just sounding like a crazy person. But as someone who has regularly gone to therapy, I guess I can say that, right? I'm allowed to say crazy person. Uh,
Yes.
I think the thing to keep in mind though is it is a fast paced environment, but the basics they haven't really changed that much. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You can call me out if you think I'm wrong about that.
No, I mean, I think a lot of people who do that are fear mongering as well, if
Do you
that's the
think
right
it's
terminology.
intentional?
Well, it depends on where it's coming from. I think if I'm not calling anyone out by all means, and I don't want to call anyone out, but um, if it's on the agency side, I think they're trying to be more uh, relevant and talking to brands who feel the same, have some like compassion towards those brands and put it out there to try to start a conversation. um and then if it's the brand side who are complaining, I think it's they just don't have right people in their corner to help them, you know, because it is. And I'm going to throw this great analogy that probably no one has ever heard of, and it's the Amazon River. Well, that's really close.
Yeah, you like
The
that? I'm gonna
Amazon,
back it up.
the
Back it up.
Amazon, the river that Amazon is. There are going to be some turbulence within that river, and there's going to be some calm spots within that river. I'm sure no one's ever heard of that analogy of Amazon and the Amazon River because I,
What is a river?
the Amazon River, like the river, the Amazon.
No, but I mean,
Um,
what is a river? I'm not understanding what that noun or
well,
is it a
if you
verb or
a river is starts at one point and ends at
okay.
another.
Oh, okay, I got it. Gotcha. River.
So the Amazon River, there's literally a river called the Amazon River.
I don't think
Um,
people think about that in the States anymore. I don't think they're thinking the Amazon. It's just
yeah,
Amazon.
yeah, maybe not. But I mean, like back in the day, like you have people that would name their companies based on that analogy. You know, there are companies out there, or let me help you navigate the Amazon, or Amazon, because it's based off that. I won't go into too much detail,
I
but
mean, damn, it said it on my website before. It's like Amazon is complex. We help you
yeah,
navigate.
yeah, no, I mean, if you
Part of that is
drill
the
it all
name of
down to
my
it,
agency name Cartology being like maps and
a geographical thing.
guiding of the cart. It just so happens that there happens to be a map on my back wall. So that's just my wife's good planning and my good fortune, I guess.
Yeah, I really don't know where I was going with all this, but
You're talking about how some people are legitimately trying
oh
to
yes,
probably get or trying to help people and start a conversation. Some people are fear mongering.
yeah, yeah, and I think there are lots of things that have changed. Like when I was in the weeds, going in the back end of launching some products for a company, and um, the actual back end, not the flat files, but that changed. It was used to have like 6 tabs to input. Now there's only 4. There's all kinds of little changes that occur, and Amazon just doesn't tell you that. You just have to kind of go, oh, that's different. Cool. Is that going to affect anything? If there's attributes that are required now and they weren't before, then yeah, you kind of have to just be on top of that.
There's probably death by 1,000 paper cuts might be a good analogy. There's a lot of little small things that if
Yeah.
you don't stay on top of over time, those could be considered a change. But I don't know that Amazon itself changing is the reality.
Yeah.
The basics are still the same. Now, I would also argue over the past probably 5-6 years, some of the mechanics have changed internally. It used to
Totally.
be to get visibility, it was have good SEO, maybe it's price point, maybe run a promotion. Now it's all advertising. I mean, that's a big function. So that's a lever change.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really advertising and outside traffic. Like that's all you really hear about nowadays. And Amazon wants outside traffic to come in, because
they want outside traffic. They don't want to send it out of their site though.
Correct.
Which makes sense. I mean, Meta, TikTok, any place doesn't want to send traffic away from there. Any social site doesn't want to send traffic outside of their site. They want you to stay in their ecosystem. But the reality is they don't have the ecosystem to keep you in there.
So it all comes down to advertising, because they want you to stay in their ecosystem to click on products that are advertised for so they can make money.
Boom.
Simple.
Something else that's been top of mind for me, at least, was Amazon's lawsuit that the FTC filed against them. Now, the head of the FTC, just to be clear, has had it out for Amazon for a pretty long time. Lena Khan is the FTC chair, and she wrote a paper in grad school, I think, about Amazon monopoly and how it needs to be taken down. I know that some people have dug into that on different levels. Some people here on this AMA have different levels of understanding about it. But I think the one thing that is a good distinction to make is Amazon changes all the time. The one distinction to make is people have this, especially small business, and by small business I mean like small retailers. There is still a thread of Amazon killed small businesses. It's just not true.
Yeah, and then there's a pocket of geographical businesses, mostly in the Pacific Northwest, that just don't like Amazon because of their their supposed way they treat their employees, et cetera, et cetera. So
you can always find a reason to hate a company, and I think the bigger a company gets, the bigger the target they are. So the reason why there's so much news on Amazon, if they weren't this big, nobody would care. So now there's interest groups that come after you that don't like you or that disagree with what you say. Everyone's going to pick a fight with you. They've got a lot of people on staff, so I think they can fight it. But Amazon didn't kill small businesses. It leaned into something called the internet, which was revolutionizing how people shopped. To be clear, more than 80% of purchases still happen in retail. So it's become pervasive, but it's not the predominant mode for buying products. However, it's grown a lot and it gets a lot of eyeballs. I mean, 1 billion people specifically go to Amazon every single month across the world. That's a big change from, even 10, but 20, 30, 40 years ago. That's a big change in the ecosystem. And they did not, in the retail ecosystem, they did not kill small businesses. They leaned into the trend, the fad of the internet. We'll see if it lasts, but they leaned into the internet and started to deploy new technology the way that and the way that people were discovering things or finding things out, and just leaned into that trend. And the businesses that I think are mad that Amazon killed small business, I actually just got an email from like a small business place that's like, tell your Congress person to go to Amazon and join the lawsuit and take them down, blah, blah, blah. The businesses that are mad are the ones that didn't evolve.
100%.
We want to charge triple the price. We want to only be brick and mortar, and we don't want to have any kind of experience or any differentiator. We just want to be a main street shop. And it's just rare that I think is really ultimately going to work. I hate seeing it, but every time, a new business goes into a spot where you've seen a business close before, you just, say a little prayer like, man, I hope this thing works. But, if they don't have anything differentiating them, it's just going to end up the same as
I
other
like
business.
I like this conversation. I'm gonna go on a quick tangent, and I thought about this the other day, and I don't know who I was talking to about it, but when you shop, customers' behavior, and no, I haven't written papers about this and all this. This is just kind of what I notice, and
You're writing the paper right now, man.
yeah, yes, I know. But make sure you're recording this so I can
Oh, it's recorded.
pop it into Chat GPT, and they can write the paper for me. Um, it's what I think consumers use is their five senses when they shop. Sight, not taste. Maybe that's more food. So they use four, I guess.
You could be shopping for food. You'd
Yeah,
take a bite of an apple,
and then
Kroger or
put it
Whole
and then
Foods,
put it
and
back.
put it back. Yeah. This
So
tastes terrible. I
guess
don't want
it's
this at all.
four senses. I guess it's four senses like sight, feel. What are the other ones? What are the other ones?
Taste, touch,
Taste,
and
touch,
smell.
and smell. So I guess you can maybe use three of them to shop.
You're
And
not doing a good
Amazon,
job of writing this
I'm
paper, by the
I'm
way.
not doing I'm doing a horrible job. But I guess and then Amazon uses two of those, so it's really just sight and wait, no, maybe one. I don't know. But you kind of know what I'm getting at is that people are going to shop in stores. I mean, COVID is a perfect example of that. It's like everyone went to the internet because that's all they had. But then after that whole thing happened, people went back into the stores because they kind of were like, oh, I, I like this actually. And it's like bookstores. Barnes and Noble is still alive. Like Amazon
Yeah.
didn't kill all bookstores because there is a generation of people, including myself. I love books and I love going in there and going, wow, this is cool.
You can't see it, but the bottom ticker just says Brett is doing a horrible job.
That's absolutely correct. I'm
I
glad
pick out
that
only the best quotes.
breaking news. Brett is
Breaking news
horrible
from
at telling
last time.
stories.
Maybe people are pretty good. Brett Bowman. I didn't even spell your name right there. That was from last time. Anyway, there's something to be said about experience. People
Yes.
want experience.
Yeah, that was a tangent, and I'm horrible at telling stories. Ask my wife.
I don't think it's a bad story by any means. I think what you're saying is, if I can expand on that,
Please do.
And I can actually back it up with some data. 1, 2, 3. I just started saying random pieces of data. Actually, quick, even more tangent. Do you know what the single term for data is?
What?
Data is a plural term.
Really?
Do you know what the singular version of the word data is? Yes.
No, no idea.
Datum.
Really?
DATUM. Yeah.
You're way smarter than I am.
Maybe just more time on my hands on the internet. That doesn't sound good. Anyway, the experience, I don't think that's ever going to go away. And there's a reason why Amazon is trying to lean into retail stores. It hasn't been very successful, but they recognize that's still a big part of the market from a sales perspective, but also we're humans. We like to interact. We are community, group, culture, focused people. And that's why I think people that are lonely, I don't have any data to support this, but I'm pretty sure people that are lonely die sooner, have more diseases. I honestly think that's why you saw a lot of elderly people during COVID pass away. Yes, maybe they got COVID, but also they didn't really have a will to live. There was, they're secluded. And I think there's some talk about that. But long story short is we want that engagement, we want that community. So Amazon's leaning into the retail side of things, and that's where still majority of purchases happen. So being able to provide people with an experience is how you differentiate yourselves. So having something that there's an episode of The Office where I'm not a big fan of this season, but like when Robert California comes in and he's telling the team when Michael
is that Will
leaves,
Ferrell?
Will Ferrell is I'm blanking on his name. No, that is D'Angelo Vickers
God, I love that show.
his name. Robert California is, I don't know the actor's
They're
name, but
supposed to make a reboot of it. Did you hear about that?
I saw that, but none of the trailers seemed legit. It just seemed like a bunch of YouTube clips put together.
Oh,
If you see it, send it to me because I am interested.
I just heard it through some news media. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Well, we all know
And then
how.
I heard Seinfeld's supposed to come back too.
Oh, really?
But that's
Frasier is coming back.
ah.
Just speaking of shows coming back.
It was
Any,
really funny. Is another side tangent. I'm just on side tangents today. And
are
this
there
is about The
main
Office.
tangents?
Me and my wife took a night away and we just watched The Office.
Oh, really? That's good. We just watch it with my daughter.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
She's 10, and when the bad part is when she says, "Dad, what's a whore?" and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. It's a vegetable." The Robert California tells the Office group, you know, the Office Maxes, whatever, we are still alive. We're back in business, and they're dying because we provide them with service. We provide them with experience. There's a reason why Uber is a thing. People want, I mean, besides just the practicality, and it doesn't make money, to be clear, but it's not profitable. But there's a reason why there's a service, because people want a service, someone to do something for them. They want to not just take a bus or something like that. You could very easily do that, but it's convenience as well. So if you can provide it's a weak analogy, but if you can provide an experience for people, they're more willing to pay for that. They're more willing to have that be accessible. So that is how you differentiate yourself. And the reality is Amazon didn't, they create a good experience online for people. But if you were creating an experience and you were not a retail expert as in brick and mortar, but location is a big part of it. Are you doing any additional marketing? You're just hoping people are going to come in, spraying and praying or planting and praying. While I do believe in prayer, if that's all you're doing, you're not going out and doing any work to get traffic in your store. You're pretty much you're creating a death sentence for yourself. So
Yep.
you really have to be creating an experience, something that's different. Maybe it's really unique selection of product, but if you're just trying to go up against the Walmart, the Target, the variety shops, those are a dime a dozen. And so Amazon leaned into what was being used more often. And there are a lot of small businesses that create revenue and have grown on Amazon. My e-commerce business is one of them. I had a small e-commerce business that I was able to grow on Amazon and other marketplaces, my website. Oops. But that was just something that Amazon allowed me to do. Not without Amazon, I would not have been able to really grow my business that significantly because they already had the audience built in. Your steering wheel looks good, by the way.
Sorry.
Like a 6-year-old man. Oh, how do I get this thing on?
That's basically how I felt. Yeah, and I think how that translates, because that's like at a high level, but how that translates to Amazon and like a brand selling on Amazon is really what's the experience, that the customer experience, and really that's what Amazon wants. And like you just said, but how do you put that into how you're displaying your product on your product detail page or product page? Still deciphering what the best terminology is for that. It's like how do you portray that experience on your page? A lot of it is you can just assume, and a lot of people use data and say XYZ, this works, A/B test, always, you should do that. But I think data plus like knowing is also a good part too. And what I mean by knowing is individuals like myself, like you, a bunch of other people that have been in the space for so long and have worked with so many different brands across so many different categories and niches. They kind of have an idea and go, hey, this will work or this won't work. This will work. This might work. Let's test what will work with what might work and then go from there. I think that's, everyone's so in digital marketing, so data driven. Yes, but data driven, if you can get to a resolution quicker through data by using experience, that's where I think it really perpetuates growth on the marketplace.
Shopping is about experience, said Brett Bohannon.
There we go.
If we tie this back into um, the FTC, which I've read about, I'm not going to claim to be a antitrust expert, but one of the claims is that Amazon has forced people into offering Prime, and I think among other things, one of the other things is anti-discounting measures, removing the buy box because it's not as low on your site. I do take
Mhm.
issue with that because I don't. It's Amazon's site ultimately, so they get to decide. And I know that there's a reason there's, antitrust laws out there, people to prevent people from getting having a monopoly. But and so removing the price is kind of frustrating. It still is their site. They create the rules. I think a lot of the stuff they're like offering, this certain fulfillment method and that has better accessibility to customers. That's not different than a Target or a Walmart that says you have to pay for this end cap. You have to pay for this placement visibility. It is not, the mechanics of it are different, but the function are, it's no different. Same with advertising.
Yep.
People say advertising is costing more. I'm noticing that with brands, with clients, with brands that I'm talking about that need help or that are struggling with sales, or their ad costs are up and they're not seeing great results. So that's all just a function of working and operating in a retailer.
Yep.
And I think the reason why Amazon might seem different is because they're on the internet and they have so much traffic. But people do still have a choice to go elsewhere. At a certain point, it's like, okay, well, why would I if I already know I could find everything on Amazon? I've got selection, I've got that stuff. I kind of also want the government to stay out of it and allow the free market to do its thing. But I think there are ways that Amazon could be a lot more seller friendly. They haven't always been seller friendly, and that's something that I like to see come of this, is them lean into some more seller friendly measures. But it's no different than any other retailer.
Yep.
Retailers make decisions that are best for them, that put more money in their pocketbook. So the fact that that would be you had preferred methods for shipping, that's ridiculous. Like, they created the system, they created the game. Why would you go in unless someone's cheating? I mean, I know that's kind of essentially what they're saying, but I just don't think it's really that much different. So let's call a spade a spade. Let's take
Totally
down
agree.
Target, Walmart, anyone else.
Yeah, and I think it was a big talk back in the day too about Amazon's own products and how everyone was like, that's wrong, blah blah blah. But I'm like, do you go to the grocery store and you see private label products for like Trader Joe's,
Exactly.
Ralph's, or whatever grocery store you have? They have their own products. They make their own products, and it's right next to the
Yep.
other products. So it's like there's no difference and I think people who can understand retail at that level understand Amazon's just one big retailer. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's digital shelves, and sometimes you got to pay to be on the best eye level digital shelf. I worked with a lot of big grocery stores before my Amazon days, and it really, that knowledge really helped me kind of come into Amazon and go, wow, this is really just a big grocery store in a way. It sells
Yeah,
everything.
it's really, that just was always interesting to me, especially when people are talking about, Amazon having private label goods and they're stealing your information. What do you think Walmart, Target do with Equate and Good and Gather and all those other brands? And what a lot of people also don't know is they are, they're not just similar to Amazon, but they also have data.
Lots of it.
Like lots of it, and they're utilizing it and to their advantage. But even beyond that, they are also what was I going to say?
Well, that's why they have club cards. Club cards aren't to give you a discount; they give you a little
it's to
discount.
get data.
It's to get your data and basically say, oh,
What are you
cool, this is.
purchasing? When?
And
What's your
like
income?
they throw it to like a huge data mining centers and companies, and they basically go, hey, like this. Like I read an article and it was Target. It was basically like saying that like they can predict that someone's going to be pregnant or that is pregnant, so they'll send mailers of diapers and baby formula to that person, and I think the article actually said that they accidentally sent it to like a 12-year-old or something
It
like
was
that.
it was an executive of, I think, a Target. They sent it to his daughter
Oh yeah,
who was pregnant. That was the
yeah,
story, at least. Sent it to a daughter who was pregnant. He didn't know, but she had been shopping on the like searching on the account. And they sent all this baby stuff, and he was like, what the hell?
yeah, yeah. It's wild.
The other thing I was going to say is that I keep forgetting to say is Amazon. By the way, the quote at the bottom just says "data mining 7 dwarves." I hope you can appreciate that.
This is the only
People
reason I come on here is for the ticker, by the way.
Okay,
So
cool. That's good to know.
yeah,
People also don't realize that when Amazon goes out and gets private label products made, they are often or have sourced that from a brand that's producing it for them. They're
yeah,
not necessarily going to China, the manufacturer. They might go to a company and say, "Hey, we want you to produce this here in the States. If it's a food bar, if it's a shampoo, and we're going to order a large volume, and so we want a discount." But that's essentially um, that's part of what they're doing. So it is also helping other businesses. I just want to be, I know not everything in life is going to be fair, but I want to make sure we're evaluating and looking at this with open eyes.
I love it.
One of the other things that we talked about was Prime Day before we got on, and the brands that are visible and that are leaning into Prime Day, meaning they're already selling, well, but they're leaning into Prime Day from a discount perspective. It seems to be going really well and just as good as the last Prime Day this year. That is last
Yeah,
fall. I don't know that we quite saw the lift that we were hoping for. What's your take?
I agree. I think the sentiment around the industry is that exactly. I know some people did do numbers better than Prime, like the regular official Prime Day. One of my clients did more deals,
Okay.
and I think it was mostly inventory specific. I don't know. Um,
Like lightning deals or other kinds of.
yeah, lightning deals, best deals, mostly lightning deals during the Prime Day window, but they almost hit their Prime Day one in the summertime numbers and fall Prime Day one. So
Okay.
it was close, and the second day was not bad either. So definitely, I believe the second day shoppers were shopping more in the Pacific time. If you look at Pacific time, more in the afternoon. It was like 2 to 5, I think, was like the good period, and we saw a spike. And I
Okay.
believe everyone on Fall Prime Day this year, the first day, saw a huge spike in the morning. Um, Everything that I've been seeing was
I know yesterday one of our clients saw a really big spike.
yeah, yeah, big spikes and during crazy times. I did notice that there was commercial. There was a commercial on the
There was
pod.
commercial.
There was commercial on the Diamondbacks Dodger game last night for the deals as well. So that's pretty prime time.
There was a commercial still. I always think that's funny when commercials are still playing at like 11, 12 at night for something. Like that always just strikes me as odd. And it looks
Sorry,
like, oh, you there? We lost you for a second. Someone called you, huh?
my wife was calling. Yeah.
How dare she? What were you going to say? You were saying it was really prime time, and then I cut you off.
Yeah. I mean, it was right. I mean, it was like seventh, eighth inning, I think, of that game. Dodgers lost. They got swept by the Diamondbacks. I usually don't really care, but I don't like the Dodgers at all. I'm a Padres fan, so that's why I cared. But yeah, it was prime time. I mean, like they're putting billboards out there, and which is kind of interesting. So yeah,
Well, this has been another fortunate episode of what has it been an episode of?
from east to west, bro.
From east to west, bro. And why is it from east to west?
I believe you're on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast.
Yes, technically I'm in the Midwest, but it's east enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. It looks like there were 2,000 people that joined us. So
Wow, it's our best
not
yet.
really. I will never tell you the numbers of how many people join us. It's at minimum 2. I can tell you that.
Hey, add a
Minimum 2
couple
people.
zeros. I just like having a good canter with you.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your insights, talking about Prime Day, joining us on the move because you are a mover and a shaker. And let's do it again soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, to
Have a
everyone
good
out there, thanks for joining us. We will maybe see you another time. Maybe we will.
maybe.